So explainer video 2 for the TransCat expedition video is really about like the funding process and how these all take place. I think a lot of people just assume and think that I'm a sponsored athlete and these kind of things just happen and the sponsors pay all of it. That's completely incorrect. So I'd like to everybody to actually understand how these projects work and how I get the funding for doing them, because it's an incredibly stressful process. And like all great adventurers, the one common thread that runs through all expeditions and all great adventures that have never been done before is always the hardest part of the entire adventure is actually getting the funding together in order to be able to make them happen. There are very, very few expeditions that actually get funded right up front. And this one is no different. All the adventures and the expeditions that I've done already are always pre-funded partly by me, and then I hopefully get the money back further down the line once I get more sponsors on board, and that's sort of how it works. So I break these projects down into the terrifying phase, the scary phase, the build phase, the implement phase, and then the actual adventure phase. And I'll tell you why that is broken down that way, because the terrifying phase is the phase that I went through about a month and a half ago, which is literally terrifying, because you're taking on something that's probably bigger than you think you can do, which is good because you need to push yourself and you need to constantly grow. And the way you grow is you do stuff that excites you, that inspires you, but also slightly scares you. And I've always done that because that's where you grow the most and you become the best version of yourself. You upscale yourself to be able to be the best version that you can be. And I believe in that, and I believe in what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, because it does inspire and create impact and help lots of people. So yeah, the terrifying phase is the phase where I have to push the trigger, like pull the trigger on the event or the expedition in regarding to committing to funding the project and moving forward with it. And often it's a little bit bigger than you, and you don't have the funding, you don't know if you're going to be able to get the funding, and it's really scary. And a lot of the time you're tapping into all your resources and finances and your time to be able to make them happen. So that happened about a month ago, where I got a good friend of mine on board from Italy who helped me make the deposit to NACRA International. They wanted like a 50% deposit up front. So I had to get a part sponsorship from him, and then I had to go to a bank and get a loan for the most amount that I could get in order to be able to make that second payment, which happened a couple weeks ago. And that is a terrifying phase when you're taking out loans to be able to pay for something that doesn't exist. But I do believe that, like in the film A Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner, if you build it, they will come. And everything that I do is based around that concept, which is you've got to show people that you've got skin in the game, that you're serious about it, that you're not just talking about it, you're actually making it happen, and you're going ahead with it. And then once the build is in process, then you can show people what the concept is. It's not just an idea, it's actually being built. And then people are a lot more keen to get invested and involved. So I've already put in quite a lot of money myself, and the project is in full build mode, which is now gone into the scary phase, because I've now got to come up with the third payment in like a month and a half's time, which is in the middle of beginning of August. So that's why I'm doing the crowdfunding campaign, in order to be able to get the funding to be able to make that payment, because it takes another 2 months for the craft to be built in the Netherlands, and all the tweaks that they're doing on that side before it gets packed up into a container and then sent over to the east coast of the USA, which will take 2 months. So it'll probably leave in the beginning of September, get here at the beginning of November. Then I've got to unpack that and put it onto a specialized trailer that we're having built for the cat, because it's quite wide. So it has to be on a special trailer that is on its side so it can fit on the road. And then that gets put on a flatbed truck and then shipped over by flatbed truck across the whole of America to the West Coast, where it goes to Berkeley Marine Marine Center, which they do a lot of my upgrades of all my expedition crafts, to put all the electronics, navigation stuff, solar, and everything that I'm getting from Sweden and from a couple other places to be able to make this whole project and craft work. So I think that gives you an idea. I'll only have it in the States in beginning of November, then it gets kitted out and fitted out for November, December, and I'll be able to start training on it by the end of December in Northern California, and then take it down to Southern California to do a test run down to Mexico and back in January, February. So that's how these projects all get put together, and I know a lot of people just don't understand, so I thought I'd give people a concept of an understanding of the timeline, how these things work, and then over the next 3 or 4 months, while this crowdfunding campaign is on for the next month, I start pitching on getting funding from bigger corporates and sponsors out there all over the world, which normally takes a longer period of time, like 3 to 4 months. I'll be pitching on getting sponsorship and partners involved, but the smaller amount that I need, which is sort of $30,000, is the amount that I get hopefully through the crowdfunding and your support. So I hope that makes sense. Long video, but I hope that's really helpful and insightful and gives you the insight into how and why we do the crowdfunding and how these projects come together. It really is not an individual event. I don't have a big team at the moment. It's just completely me and myself. And once we get funding, what have you, and the projects get bigger and I get more sponsorship, then I bring in all my team members that I normally have for all my expeditions. But this phase is always the scary phase because all of it is literally all on my shoulders. And sometimes I have other people that just help me from the side, from the admin perspective, that I pay to be able to help just do bits and pieces. But that's how it goes. In the beginning, it's like a startup. You're starting everything from scratch, and you got to build it from scratch. And it's an idea, a concept. You got to bring it into market. You got to get funding. You got to get people to support you and believe in you, and then you bring it into reality and make it happen. And that's the TransCat expedition. I hope you found this interesting, insightful, and inspiring. Chris out.